What really you need to ask yourself is, do I want to file an adjustment of status? And if you want to file that adjustment of status, you have to do it before the bulletin backlogs. And we know it's coming. It might be coming for both categories. It's very clearly coming for high unemployment. For rural, it might only be a few months or it may not happen at all. Just kind of depends on how the Department of State sees those numbers playing out. But if that category changes from C on the visa bulletin, which stands for current, to a date, if you're filing after that date, you're not going to be able to file an adjustment of status. So that's really the big worry for a lot of investors is, am I going to get those immediate benefits? Am I going to be able to file my adjustment of status? And you probably only have a few months to do that if you're in that boat. Historically, we've gotten that warning, and within about 3 months, we've seen the backlog actually hit the calendar, or so hit the bulletin. Um, in India's case, in 2019, it actually hit even sooner, just 1 month later. I don't think it's going to be next month. We would have gotten a little bit more specific warning, but I think 3 months is a pretty good estimate to expect a backlog to either hit or be very close to hitting. And remember, when that is the case, a lot of people are filing their case. A lot of people are going to be filing their application and getting in. And if you're an investor who's thinking about EB5, there's no time like the present, right? You don't want to end up in that last little bubble of bunch of filings. We saw that in November 2019 before the program lapsed. Everyone kind of knew the program was going to sunset. They weren't sure how it was going to come back, or if the amount was going to be higher, or what was going to happen. And we saw an incredibly high amount of filings in November 2019, and it took USCIS up until now basically to adjudicate all those. So you really want to beat that rush if you can. If you're watching this webinar, chances are you're considering EB5. You should probably go ahead and talk about it with your family and pull the trigger sooner rather than later. When is going to be your deadline to really get in and make sure you can still adjust status? It could very well be as early as March. We're maybe just a few months away from that being the case. When will you have to? When will you know when you have to file by? You're only going to get about 20 to 25 days of notice. The visa bulletin for the following month is published in the current month. So right now, if it's January, let's say 10th, you will just find out what the February bulletin looks like. Until January 31st, you are now able to file your application as is. The status quo is maintained until February starts, and then February's visa bulletin will dictate. So once a cutoff appears on the visa bulletin for the next month, you have until the end of the immediate month to get your application in. If, for example, let's say in February we find out that March is backlogged, the March bulletin is no longer current, you'll have until the end of February, which is already a short month, to get your application in and file concurrently to get that adjustment of status.